Hi everyone, my name is Audrey and welcome to my channel. Today I'm giving you a new dedicated reading vlog for the duology of She Who Became the Sun and He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan. So today is, what day are we? August 18th. I need to finish both of these books before the month of September because this one was in my spring Aurelium and I need to finish them before autumn, if that makes sense. And I am rereading the first book. So this one I've read last year, the year before that. I'm not sure exactly, but I did read it and it's been a while. So I want to reread it. I remember I gave it a 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. And I'm really excited to finish the duology. I will be finishing this one by the end of the month. I don't have a choice. I have to. So I'm currently also reading some other books, but I'm really prioritizing these ones so that this vlog can get up and I can move on to the Aurelium in September, if that makes sense. So right now I have some chores to do, but I will be starting my read of She Who Became the Sun. So for this vlog, I will be giving you some spoilery thoughts because that's what I want to do with these vlogs, is to give you thoughts throughout my reading process of the whole series, or like whatever it is. Here we only have 2 books, but in other series we have way more than that. But I do love to give you thoughts on what's going on while I'm reading and just put it all together like throughout the full series, if that makes sense. So this is what this vlog is about. I did start 2 other dedicated vlogs, one for the Diviners series and the other one for the Grishaverse. I have not finished those series yet and those books. So like those are still ongoing and I haven't published them because I want like the full finish of it. But I am going to be prioritizing these ones because of the Aurelium. So this one might be the shortest one in time lapse, if that makes sense, because the other ones have a long time gap in between updates. But yeah, anyways, I do have some boring adult chores to do before I get to some reading. So I'm gonna leave you at that, vacuum, fold some laundry, and then start She Who Became the Sun, and I will be updating you with my thoughts. I'm not sure if I'm gonna update today or tomorrow because it is already the end of the day right now. It's almost supper time and I do need to get things done, and I don't like filming when it's evening because there's not a lot of light here. So yeah, we'll see when I actually update you. I'm rambling at this point, but yeah, anyways, I'll update you when I have some more. Hi everyone, it is now Saturday the 23rd in the morning, almost lunchtime, but here we are. I finally got to the end of the first part of this book. So this is divided in 3 parts. The first part, which is like mostly the early years of our main character, finishes on page 80. And then the second part finishes around 315. So like it's not really well divided in 3. So yeah, second part is going to be quite a bit. I will be updating during the second part of this, probably towards the middle of the book, and then at the end of part 2, and then at the end of part 3. I think that would make a lot of sense updating wise. So finished part 1. I did remember most of what was happening in part 1, and I feel like it's what I remember the most, and I don't know why. Things go quite quickly. I remember feeling how quickly it went throughout their early life, upbringing, where did they come from, all that stuff. It is very heartbreaking to read about surviving and going through wars and trying to survive through that. And it being a girl and trying to pass off as a boy because of survival is so heart-wrenching. But our main character does manage to do well regardless. Do they always make the right decisions? Not necessarily, but they do take decisions when they have to in a split second because survival depends on it, like right now. I also love to read about what's going on in the head of our main character. I feel like it gets us to better understand what it means to survive in this type of situation, being in an environment of war. So I appreciate that. And I do appreciate how the author also skips some time throughout their upbringing, because sometimes life can be uneventful for a while before like something of a bigger importance happen. So it happens a couple of times in here. So I do appreciate that, because the author does recognize that like some things we don't need to know, like all the details, which is good. And we still managed to see a good relationship between Zhu and Xuda. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing these character names correctly, but yes, I love the relationship because it's very genuine and honest and authentic. And I love that because there's something good that's growing, that's there amidst all the darkness and the grim circumstances that they're in. I do remember the end of this first part finishes with a bang, with our general who is just full of anger and revenge. And this is going to follow this general for a long time, but I think so. But I honestly don't remember what comes up next. I'm confused. It's such a blur. I don't know why I remember this first part so much. Maybe because it was really impactful, because it starts really rough with the famine and the bandits stuff. Maybe that's why I remember it more. I don't know. But so far, I do like the pacing though, and that we're going through like that part a little bit quickly and things are happening. And this discussion of fate and how much of a choice you've got in your life, regardless or even of fate. I like the thought process around that. I find it quite interesting. And yeah, I'm excited to get to part 2. I don't know if I have anything else to say about that. So yeah, I'm curious to see if I'm going to remember what's in part 2. Hopefully I do. I think I remember how it ends. But yeah, it gives me a lot of popular vibes-ish. In a way that like our characters are trying to survive war and famine and has this power to them that they don't understand. Although in the popular, it's pretty much very, very gray areas. I think even more so than in this. That may change. But yeah, very, very interesting. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the ghost thing, which I find very interesting, because the ghosts were present from the beginning, from her very early age. And sometimes they're very present, but other times there's just like, they're there, but she's kind of ignoring them, which like, considering she's been seeing them since she was a child, it's understandable. Like she doesn't know what to do with that. So just trying to ignore them, I guess is the best way to go. I don't know if I would do differently, but I think I remember they have a big role to play, just not yet. But further along the way, they'll be a lot more important. I think so. So I'm excited to get back into that side of the story. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna leave you at that. Update you soon-ish. It's my last weekend before I'm back to school. So today I do have a lot of things to get done, a lot of cleaning, and I'm rearranging my bookshelves. So that's gonna take a lot of time, and we're already almost lunchtime. So I don't know how much reading I'm actually going to get done, but hopefully before tomorrow, I'll update you for the half part, for the half mark of the book, hopefully. So we'll see. I'll see you in the next clip.
I couldn't see with how close I was. It's not hard to find if your grip is loose enough. How lucky to be by your side, to feel your stare. Sick as a dog, I run my hands through your hair. I wait for nothing. The intense rearrange, making space where there was none before. Running on time, darling, aren't we all? I think you could show me something that I won't need to resolve. So twist my words until you can find a way to make them work for you. Your windshield drawings start to fade. Oh, my heart will change. I wait for nothing. The intense rearrange, making.
Hi everyone, I'm terribly sorry for the horrible lighting, but it is night out, and yeah, this is when I'm gonna be updating. So I did make a lot of progress, way more than halfway through. So I just finished part 2 of She Who Became the Sun. It is now Sunday, the 31st. I know. I was hoping to finish both books by the end of August. Unfortunately, things happened, and I was not able to read as much as I wanted throughout the whole week. I was back to school, not with the students. It was mostly me getting my classroom ready and my plans and all that stuff ready for the new year. And I was really, really, really busy. I'm not done yet with everything I need to get done. So starting tomorrow, it's gonna be the first day of the Aurelium, and I'm not done with what I was supposed to have finished from last Aurelium. But it is a long holiday, which means it's a holiday tomorrow because it's Labor Day, so no school. I'm going to try to read He Who Drowned the World in one day. That's my goal. I don't have much left of She Who Became the Sun. I have 100 pages left. I think that's doable. I'm feeling good, not too sleepy, so that's a good sign. I know what makes me a little bit more sleepish when I do read, so I'm trying to not be in bed, not be on my reading chair, and I'm reading on this beanbag because I don't really fall asleep in it that much. So anyways, I have lots of thoughts to talk about. So all this to say that I should finish this by the end of the evening-ish. So my thoughts on this part of the book. So it is a long part. I want to say it lasts for maybe like half of the book-ish. It's more than a third, that's for sure. I remember saying at the beginning of this vlog that I was not remembering much. I did remember the first part where it was quite quickly, things happened very fast, and the rest of it was blank for me. But as I've been reading this book, everything is coming back to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. Oh yes, I remember this and this and this and this. And I think I know and understand why I felt that way, because there's a lot of scheming and politics in here, which I was at first, at times, a little bit confused about. And I feel like rereading it, I'm understanding them more easily, I guess. I don't know. And it does feel like it's not as quick because we're in a war part. A lot of war is happening here in the second part. And all the scheming and stuff, I cannot say that it's slow because it's not. But at the same time, it's hard to pinpoint everything that's happening, if that makes sense. So in my mind, it feels very confusing, and I mix up some things that are happening when I go back into it in time, trying to remember things. But as I'm reading it, everything makes sense. And it doesn't feel like it's slow at all. And I'm really, really enjoying this. I remember I really enjoyed it the first time around, that's for sure. But I'm still enjoying it the second time around. And I love how it talks a lot about like fate and believing in your fate and knowing that there's nothing you can do to change your fate. But at the same time, the choices you make is going to affect your future lives. So like how much of it is actually your choice versus like how much is fate that you don't have any control over it and you can't decide any of it. That's a very interesting discussion, and I remember saying the same thing when I first read it. Yeah, I really enjoy that, and I think the author really balances like those inner thoughts, inner discussion about those things, as well as the action and getting to know our characters better. And I really enjoy that. I love that we have like two rivals as well. The eunuch general and Zoo always fighting one against the other, and both feel like they're doing the right thing. And there's so much treason and betrayal and revenge. The revenge in here is so intense, and I understand how this general would like his revenge, but also like it's so complicated, and humans are very, very complicated, and relationships are very complicated, and nothing is black and white. That's not how life is. And these characters are very, very, very conflicted throughout that, which I love to read about on page, and I find really interesting to read about. And I love how the dual POVs of when we're reading about the general and we're reading about Zoo and what's going on and how it's building up for when they're actually going to fight each other, which is where I'm at by the end of part 2. They actually fought each other in a duel. But yeah, I find that fascinating. I hate that humans hold grudges and feel like they need to get revenge, because revenge never ends, and it's not gonna help you deal with your grief at all, and it's not gonna make you accept whatever grief you're going through. It's just doing more violence and making sure that the violence cycle is continuing on. Because once you've gotten your revenge on someone, someone else is going to want revenge on you for that. And then it just never stops. And it's never ending and it never stops. And I hate that. I love reading it in a book because it's a book and it's fiction. And it makes things interesting, I think, in books. I don't like that in real life. I hate it. But it's also part of humanity. So, and also when you're in a war era, it's hard not to see violence. It's hard not to react against violence with anything else than violence. So like everything makes sense in this. Like the characters make sense and the way they react to what they're going through makes sense. And trying to survive through all that is just like the most natural thing for humans. Interesting how we have like these two POVs, but at the same time, there's way more than two sides, which is not that obvious either. And that is done brilliantly by the author because it's not like on the nose. But at the same time, they're pretty much all trying to work out their own angle, which is also part of political schemes. But I do find the way that she wrote this is brilliant in that way because you know there's going to be a lot of treason and betrayal. And it's pretty much everyone for themselves. I am very excited to finish the book and see where this ends because I keep on remembering as I read it, but I don't remember like right now what's the ending. I can tell you, but as I'm reading it again, like it does come back to me. I am familiar with the words that I'm reading, but I really don't remember the ending here. I do think it's interesting to have this duality and between characters. And I do hope we know more about the ghost thing and the Prince of Radiance, which is also a bit awkward to me. We don't really know much about it except from what Zhu is experiencing while talking to him, which is very little. Yeah, that would be really interesting to see how it is going to develop, as well as how SN is going to probably be dismantling his own dynasty or like ruling. There's so much death in here. There's a lot. And if you don't play the game right, you're definitely not going to be able to continue playing that game because you're going to be out. Yeah, I'm curious to see who's going to be still playing the game until the end. We shall see. I honestly really don't remember. But yeah, I'm excited to finish this. I'll talk to you tomorrow because I feel like I'm going to be very sleepy after these 100 pages. It is quite late. So yeah, I'll get back to you tomorrow morning and start hopefully He Who Drowned the World. We'll see how I feel after this book, but I will come back to you tomorrow.
Knew it from the jump, you were bad news. Eating on my time, leave my mind in the woods. But now you see the face under the red hood. And you cried, now you cry, yeah you cry, yeah you cry, whoa. Oh, you thought I was a little sheep, yeah, yeah. Never noticed how I hit my teeth. Now there ain't nobody that'll hear you. If you cry, if you cry, if you cry, if you cry, whoa. Once upon a time, I would let it slide. Make peace with the feelings until I realized that heroines never get a win. So I had to grow up and grow some thick skin. Now my eyes ain't ballin', only ballin' for them big moves. I can hear you calling, tell me who you gonna cry to. Zip it, baby, you're trippin'. Better remember you're the one who made me wicked. Yeah, running, I'm coming. I'm finally taking back what's mine. They won't believe it, you'll never see it when I get you in the night. Knew it from the jump, you were bad news. Eating on my time, leave my mind in the woods, but
everyone. It is now Monday afternoon-ish. I unfortunately did fall asleep on this book, but I did finish it this morning. I'm still counting it as an August read. You can come and fight me for it. I don't care. It's still counting, but I finished it this morning, and I did just start this one. I read 20 pages of this one, but we'll get back to the second book. I came upstairs here after lunch to make sure that I could work and read both at the same time. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to like half of this book by the end of the day. If I've read a third of it, I would be happy. I haven't looked how many parts there is in this one, because I know there's at least 2 parts. So part 1 finishes on page 67, so I'm only for 40 pages till that. So like that's easily done. I have a feeling that part 2 is still gonna be a big part. All right, so part 2 is like more than half of this book. So from 71 to 387. So that's like 300 pages. And then part 3, and I think that's it. So a third of almost 500 pages is a good 100, I want to say 150 pages. That would be good by the end of the day, but it's still another good 100 pages to get through. So I don't know how much I'm actually gonna be able to go through, but let's hope for the best. Before I picked up He Who Drowned the World, I did research a little bit on my computer, and I don't remember what prompted me to do a research, but I did. I think it was something that I read in the beginning of, the first, well, it's not really a chapter, and it's not really a prologue, but there's this first chapter where I love it because it says, it's just like 2-page thing where it explains basically the war strategies that happened-ish, very, very surface level of what happened in book 1. So like, I'm really happy I reread this one in order to get to this one, but it does do a good summary of what happened in book number 1, if it's been a while that you picked it up. So it's not enough for me because I do want to kind of remember most of the details as much as possible, which are not necessarily in that chapter, but like I was curious and I Googled it and I realized that there is so much more truth to history in this duology than I thought. I understood it was like a retelling, but I didn't know that the city names and locations and characters were from history. And I'm not very good with history in general. So from a history of another country, I'm not that good either, even if I find it very fascinating and interesting. Kind of got me into this rabbit hole of trying to research a lot of things, and I'll get back to that. But I finished this book with a very unsettled feeling that is hard to describe. And like, as much as I loved my reading experience about this, the ending made me quite unsettled, and it kind of reminds me of the Popular because of like those gray areas that are more black than white. And you care so much for the characters and you want them to succeed, but you are a witness to the darkening of their soul, if that makes sense. I'm maybe intense with the soul thing, but like you still witness how they go dark, if that makes sense. And I felt a shift in here, which I couldn't quite name and pinpoint like what happened and what unsettled me. Not that it bothers me because it is fiction, but not that much. And yeah, I had a hard time pinpointing like what it was that unsettled me. And it kind of confirmed And like doing that quick, very, very surface level, quick Google search made me understand a bit more, because this is a retelling of the rise of the emperor, our main character. I'm so horrible at names. Zhu. Oh my god. There's another emperor name that I don't remember, but yeah, it's a retelling of his rise as an emperor. And you know, when you Google search things and you have like the AI asking a million different questions, and I kind of started clicking on all of those questions and found out that like the emperor, which is our main character, where they're going to be eventually, was not a good emperor at all. And he was criticized because he was doing the same thing as the Yuan dynasty was doing, and that he himself was criticizing, and he ended up like doing the same thing as the people he fought against, which is a bit ironic. And I was so sad to learn this. Because there's a shift at one point in here where you see that the ends justify the means, and that is where it's dangerous. And like ethically speaking, it's very dangerous. And once you start going through that line, it's difficult to come back. I'm not saying that out of experience, because I have not crossed those lines, but we're in a war zone here. And yeah, reading about like Ma, who is scared about that and does voice her concerns. And I feel like it's just gonna be really dark in book number 2, because that's how history shows it. So yeah, I think that's what is unsettling me, because I know there's so much more dark things that are gonna come up, and I don't want it to happen. I wanted it to be a good ending, and it's not. There's one thing that's common in pretty much all of these war stories, is that like it's one thing to be able to win a war. It's another to be able to rule it and keep your kingdom. And those two usually don't go together. So someone who can win wars and be a good general or commander, like whatever you call them, in the military, that's one thing. But being able to do day-to-day work and make sure that your country, kingdom, empire, whatever you want to call it, is functioning and thriving, that's a whole other thing and a whole other set of skills. And usually the leaders that successfully throw down a monarchy or an empire or whatever, they usually cannot rule. It's either one of the other. And I feel this is definitely what's happening in here. And it's kind of sad. And I'm kind of sad about it. But yeah, it is way closer to history than I thought it would be, because I think there's only the General Wu Yang who is not actually from history. All of the other names of characters that I've seen, like most of them, are actual people who were written in history, being part of the 14th century China, which is quite interesting. Another good part of the fiction is that like there's a gender fluid take on it, which I love to read about. I think that what I like the most of this aspect is that it's not labeling anything, and it's really about these characters trying to understand what they're going through and like where they stand on that front without necessarily labeling it. And I do really appreciate that, and how the author actually like managed all that through and still being historically accurate. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of research in here, and I cannot say like what part of history is accurate or not, but it does feel very accurate to me from the very surface level research I've done. And so yeah, very interesting, but a bit unsettling. So anyways, I'm gonna be planning a bit because I do have school tomorrow with my students, and I do need to plan, and I can't be reading all day, but I will be reading, at least I'll try to be reading 100 another 120 pages ish, and get to that like third mark of the book. And I'll be back at that mark and update you when I'm there, and we'll see how much I'll have managed to get through. So on that note, I'll see you later. Hey everyone, it is now Sunday evening. I did not manage to do half of what I was hoping to do this weekend, which is kind of normal because of everything that's going on, and my head is just full of stuff that I need to get done. I still haven't finished my lesson planning for tomorrow. Like, that's how behind I am. I did manage to read a bit He Who Drowned the World, but I got to the end of part 1, which is only like 67 pages long. I think this is going to be very interesting. I have a feeling that this book is going to be really darker than the first one because of what's in here. So first of all, I'm curious to see more about Bao Xiang's point of view, which I think is going to bring something different to the story in comparison to what Essen brought. Yeah, I don't have much faith in Ouyang with the way that like he managed his army. I don't know how I feel about this like 180 behavior switch with him. Like, what? I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. It's just that I would expect some conflicting things coming from him, and I have a hard time believing that he managed to climb up the ladder and get to the general position. I know that Essen was like a big part of it, but still, and managed to always be winning and always winning his battles, and well, almost until Zhu came along. But then once that he got his revenge, he's doing an 180 in his behavior, and all that counts as revenge, and he's not making a winning plan in order to keep his army in control and not doing whatever they're doing right now and being able to finish his plan of revenge. Does that make sense? I don't know. But I feel like he should be able to control his army and lead his army if he's been able to climb the ladder up till his general position. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. And I do understand what the author wants us to feel, to see, with his revenge being all that he's thinking about. But that like takes time. And I feel like it's a bit sudden in here. I'm not sure like how I feel about that part, but it's just a tiny bit part of that. I honestly thought that Zhu was going to rescue Ouyang, but didn't, which is interesting. I love that a lot of things were happening at the same time. I've had that feeling with, I think, Game of Thrones, where like two big plots are happening at the same time with the same characters ish, and it's just so much like bad timing for both parties, but it ended up like being good, I think, for our characters in here. I don't know, I'm not sure, but things like this do happen, I guess. But yeah, quite interesting. I don't think it's going to be very positive in this one, especially now that I know that our main character does become emperor that isn't well regarded, well perceived in history. So there's that. Like, I know that something stark is coming, and I feel like our character did cross some lines that, like, there's no coming back from that. I'm still very intrigued to see where it's gonna go. I'm not quite sure where the storyline is going from here. It is going to end with the Yuan dynasty ending for sure, and our main character on the throne. That's what I think is going to happen. But I don't know what's going to happen between now and that end point, if that makes sense. So we'll see. Should be interesting. I'm not sure either if, like, the he that's talked about in here, what character they're talking about, because obviously we're talking about Zhu when they talk about, like, she and she who became the sun, because she was born female and she did have the light mandate where she had, like, this white light that radiated everyone. So, like, that makes sense, especially since they're calling themselves the Radiant King. So that makes sense that it's about Zhu, she who became the sun. Makes sense. This one, I'm not sure who we're talking about. I'm a bit scared that since it's a very gender fluid, positive book, we might be talking about Zhu as well. I don't know. I'm not sure. Or we're talking about Ouyang. Or my other hypothesis is that we're talking either about Ouyang or Baoxiang, because he does also have the mandate and it's black. So that might be like drowning the world from light. Or we might have Zhu with their mandate transform into something dark, knowing the ending ish. I'm rambling at this point. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming, but, like, those are what I think it might mean. But it is intriguing me. So I will be reading this evening, but I do have to still edit some videos and make sure my plans are good for tomorrow and that I get up very, very early, because we do need to leave very early tomorrow morning. So I don't know how much reading I'll actually get to. The second part is quite long. It's pretty much like half of the book. Like, that's a lot. So I think the next time I'll be updating you, it'll be towards, like, the half mark. So maybe here, which is the beginning of chapter 12. That would make sense. That means I need to read 160-ish pages, which is quite a lot. I'm not gonna get all of that done this evening. That's not realistic with all I have left to get done. So, but hopefully very, very soon. So probably tomorrow or Tuesday, tops, because I really need to get going on my Aurelium TBR. So I'm gonna get to that soon-ish, and I'll be back with some updates.
Take a look into the mirror, following your heart, but to silence to the fear. And you deserve it, you deserve it. Rainy season's gonna go, now your seeds can grow. Imagine that, you deserve it, you deserve it now. Hey. Pick up the phone, little darling, I got a bit to say. I'm speaking from the heart, I pray it doesn't ricochet. I know you got his up, distance makes this hard enough. I hope that I can ask for you to listen, man, this part is tough. I sent a message and maybe you didn't get it yet. When you have a second, you should check it, so you won't regret it. I'm stepping out of a meeting, a big amount's where it's leading. I'll make you proud in proceedings, we'll hit the town in the evening, darling. And then it's time for us to celebrate. Pop some vino, we know we celebrate. Hello, mate, enjoy the ride and spend for something real nice. Cause every dream I've ever had, you helped me realize. No matter how much of a stretch I guess it feels like, no matter how left field, you make it feel right. You believed it could be real beyond the surface. In your eyes I saw that I was worth it. Perfect. Take a look into the mirror, following your heart, but to silence to the fear. And you deserve it, take for granted. The lady that I make my plans with daily, maybe one day shapes the planet with no way to even say it in my native language. Sharing everything I feel for you, I gotta give the praise in Spanish. Mariposa, you and I couldn't be any closer. You make me breathe like a bean of heavy smoker. When we get married, we will be ready for what the world will bring. We're Birmingham if they had buddied up. Lawrence and LaRousse, it was a cruise, so much to do, so now we run amok. Your laser focus shapes my ruthless execution. My elocution takes your train of thought to resolution. I'm never wanting you, holding back from a benefit, and anyone supporting you will assent with the sentiment. I'm with you every step of the way. Blessings and curses through my eyes every second. You're worth it. Perfect.
Take a look into the mirror, following your heart, but the silence to the fear, and you deserve it. You deserve it. Rainy season's gonna go, now your seeds can grow. Imagine that. You deserve it. You deserve it now. Hey, try to let it go, leave it down the road. If it's weighing heavy on your soul, try to let it go. Try to let it go, yeah. Try to let it go. Either way it goes, don't let it weigh heavy on your soul. Try to let it go. Try to let it go, yeah. Take a look into the mirror, following your heart, but the silence to the fear, and you deserve it. You deserve it. Rainy season's gonna go, now your seeds can grow.
Hi everyone. Today is Sunday, the 12th of October. I know it's been a very long time, the last time I updated this vlog. I have not read anything in September. I was not able to finish the Aurelium. I didn't even start it. I didn't read anything, basically. Back to school has been taking control over me, and when I did have a little bit of time, I was just way too tired to pick up a book and read, and I just fall asleep, and here we are. I think the worst part is pretty much done with. I still have a lot of things I need to get done, but like that to-do list, even if I do check things out, so many other things keep getting added to the list that it's a never-ending thing. But yeah, this weekend is a long weekend because it is Thanksgiving here in Canada, which means I have a full 3 days off. No cheerleading classes, no concert rehearsal, nothing, nada. So it's a real 3 days off, and we are not leaving the house. So I am doing this weekend a 24-hour readathon. So I'm now 8-ish hours through my readathon, and I was finishing this book. So I'm here to talk about it. I am now on page, 391. So basically, I just finished part 2, which was the biggest part of the book. It was like maybe half of this book. I don't remember what I updated last, so editing me will be probably frustrated because maybe I will have missed some things. But that being said, I loved how book number 1 was so complex in the plot and political stuff. And sometimes I get a little bit confused. Even if I do read a lot of them, I sometimes get just so confused with the intrigues. But I was a little bit at first, but rereading it, I felt more confident in it. I felt like it was a little bit easier to understand. And the story and the plot was easy to follow, like if you're talking in a structural point, if that makes sense, and how everything was constructed through the story. But in here, I feel like there's a lot of things that I'm a bit confused with because there's so many things that are happening that are just similar to one another. So there's a lot of people that are dead at this point by the end of part 2. And at one point, there was the poisoning of General Zhang, which I got confused with, and I don't know why. But the character of Madame Zhang and the character of Lady Qi were very confusing to me, and I got them mixed up. And then at some point, I thought the Great Khan was poisoned and dead, but that was not it. It was actually General Zhang. So that got me very confused for a moment, and I had to like go back and reread some parts of it. I was just so confused, and it was a little bit hard to follow for me. Maybe the second time around, it will be easier if I do reread them. But yeah, I was also very, very disappointed how the Ouyang arc ended up going. I was hoping for a happier ending for them, even if, like, obviously they weren't going to have a happy life, that's for sure. There's too much pain, too much suffering, too much trauma, too much of everything to be able to be happy and to allow themselves to be happy. But I was really hoping that they would follow Zhu. When they discovered Zhu's secret, I was so disappointed with his reaction. And I understand that we're trying to get him to go do his thing and get his own arc. But I was really disappointed with how that ended up being. I didn't want that for them. I really wanted them to go in together. And yeah, but I was really hoping that understanding and compassion would be there. But saying this out loud, I realized that compassion was not in Ouyang's abilities because of everything they've been through. Maybe, I don't know. A lot of these characters are so self-absorbed with their own trauma that are not available for anyone else besides themselves. And I think that's what makes these characters very human, because that is also true in the real world. But anyways, this is very violent. It is war, so obviously. But yeah, that last bit with Chen was intense, to say the least. I am sad that Xuda got to die. Also, that's another thing with that war that kind of bothered me, because, and it did bother me the first time around also, when they went in the fortress thingy where they had to go underwater and they revived Xuda. It bothered me because they were only breathing air into the lungs of the person. And if you've had any CPR lessons, that's ineffective. Research and studies do show today that that part of CPR is not what's effective, because you have to get the oxygen to the brain in order to sustain life. And breathing into someone only brings the oxygen in the lungs. That doesn't get the blood flowing with the oxygen into the brain. And that's why they say they keep changing how CPR must be done. And now they're really focusing on chest compressions because that's what gets the blood flowing to the brain. And I've watched enough like medical YouTube channels to know that. Now, I did know it before. I did have like advanced first responder lessons when I did ski patrol back in the days. It was a while ago, but still, at that time, we did like 30 compressions and 2 breathings. But now they're just recommending like mostly compressions. And even with compressions, you do still have like damages done to your body. Either it's in your brain or ribs or anything. So like, I'm not saying not to do CPR, but like it comes with consequences, obviously. Anyways, all that being said, just breathing into someone is not gonna get them to just come back to life. So that's kind of, yeah, that's why bringing Xuda back to life and bringing everyone just back to life is so ridiculous and like there's no way that could have worked. And I understand it's fantasy and that you like have to put aside your beliefs sometimes and just trust like the world. That's how it works. But in here, we're basically in our own world. These are real places from the real world in China. And it is very research based on the history of China, which means there is a part of fantasy in it, but it's a tiny bit. And the rest of it is very much like our own world. And if the part that is supposed to be like our own world doesn't work like our own world, it's putting me off a lot. So that part I did not enjoy because it was so bizarre to me as a choice of how to put this in here. Also, like, I don't understand how Chen was able to manage all of these ghosts and get them like to feed off people and kill people, and Zhu not being able to do that. And I'm really disappointed with that because I was really hoping that Zhu was going to use her mandate abilities to actually get a ghost army. That's exactly what I was hoping for in this book. I was waiting for it, but now there's only maybe 100 pages left, and I don't think that's going to be happening. So I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunity there. So right now, I know I gave the first book a 5 stars, but I think this is going more towards a 4-star because of those aspects. I'm still very much enjoying it. I am curious to see where it's going to end. I do know like that Zhu is going to be winning because history. But yeah, pretty much everyone has died now. The Khan has died. The General Zhang has died. Ouyang has died. Xuda has died. A lot of people. And there's Wang, that is now the Great Khan, that is left to die. I think that's where it's headed for that last battle in order for Zhu to win. But yeah, it feels a little bit surreal. Also, like that last battle on the ships was interesting, but at the same time, it feels so surreal that Zhu did not have any knowledge of war or fighting, and I feel like they got very, very lucky at some point. And it's just so weird. I don't know. And like being able to win wars with such a small army against a much bigger one that they should have never been able to win is a bit strange. But maybe like they did make history for a reason. So maybe that was also part of the whole history thing. I don't know. I'm not well versed in it, but it feels a little bit too good to be true. Like that particular battle felt a little bit too good to be true compared to the rest of both of the books. This one in particular felt a little bit too much, I think, but maybe that's a me thing. I don't know. Anyways, I am predicting it's gonna take me maybe, I started at 316, and 216, sorry. So I read 170 pages in 8 hours, which is not a lot. So I'm predicting maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours till I finish this book, and I will be keeping you updated. It should be my last update for this dedicated vlog, and I'll give you my final thoughts overall, and I'll see you in a bit.
There's something about the way you draw me close. There's something about this love that keeps me warm. You brighten up even the gloomy days, and we'll light a fire and never move from this place. There's something about you, something about you. I will never lose you. Something about you. Choose you. I will always choose. I will always sing. We named one after us. You entertain karaoke and sing and dance, love, and you brighten up even the gloomy days, and we'll light a fire and sit in front of a blaze. There's something about you, something about you. Never lose, I will never lose you. Something about you. Choose you. I will always choose. It's a happy ending, me plus you. Forever, always, just us two. It's a happy ending, me plus you. Forever, always, we made it through. It's a happy ending. It's a happy ending. There's something about the way you draw me close. There's something about this love that keeps me warm, and you brighten up.
And we are done. I am finally finished with this duology. I made it through finally after a couple of months, but here we are. This is going to be the final thoughts before I close this vlog. So first of all, it didn't head exactly the way that I thought it would. So I was afraid at some point at the beginning where we felt like Zoo was kind of losing themselves because of everything that's going on and everything they have to sacrifice, and having to deal with life and death is always something that is going to change you. That's for sure. War always changes you because of the violence and the heavy trauma that it brings, obviously, and the life and death thing. So I was expecting it to be not a good ending, and we were going to see more of that part and more of how Zhu was going to become more lost in their ambitions, because that's what I felt it was in the beginning, that they were so stuck with their ambition of being great, of like they had to be great at all costs, that you kind of lose yourself. And that's where I thought it was headed, but it wasn't. And I think I do enjoy this ending instead of what the actual history was. I don't know. I think I prefer this ending to be like more hopeful than only darkness to come. And winning a war doesn't mean you can actually rule a kingdom. Leading a rebellion doesn't mean you can actually rule and sit on a throne and rule. So it's always so easy to have your own ideologies. And I can say that in the real world as well. But when you have your own ideologies and trying to stand up and protest and stand up for what you think is right, it's always so much easier than when you're actually in charge of getting things right and making sure everything's okay for your people. So I would have been curious to see like how that would have went, because I feel like we don't see that a lot in books. They usually win, and then like what happens next doesn't mean you're going to be a good ruler. Anyways, but this is not what this book is about, which is fine. But yes, as from what I've seen, it's exactly that, unfortunately. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I still think it's a 4 stars because of the couple of things that I did state before. So things that kind of bothered me, where there was the CPR thing, and I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunities with the ghosts to actually, or even the mandate, because at the end she is like able to form her hand that she lost and take Young's ghost sword. But I feel like it would have been awesome to be able to see like to which extent could she try and control those powers and those abilities, and to what extent she could use all that. So I feel like that part wasn't as developed as I would have wished, on top of the CPR thing that I thought was a little bit too convenient and not well done to my taste. And there was a couple of things that were a little bit plot convenient, but it didn't last too long. More towards the end, I'd say, and the last part, the third part, the full third part was interesting because it was different from the rest of the war and trying to conquer the cities, because it can be a little bit tedious sometimes when you're just going through war and war and war. That's the only thing that you're reading, and like the different events tend to like jumble together and be confusing to the timeline and what's happening. So yeah, I did enjoy that it went in a different way for the finale of this story, and how it did end, because it did make up for what I liked less in this book, if that makes sense. So I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say right now. I would love to know your thoughts on this. Did you agree with me or not? Did I miss anything from these books? I probably did. Right now, I'm talking about it like when it's really, really fresh. I just finished it. So sometimes reflecting on the books a little bit later, I have a little bit more thoughts, and I have time to put my thoughts together in a more coherent way. But I don't want to drag this vlog too long. It's been dragged long enough. So anyways, if I missed anything, you can let me know in the comments. Do you agree with me or not? I would love to know. I hope you enjoyed this dedicated vlog, which is a new thing that I'm doing on my channel. I hope you enjoy it. I do enjoy having an outlet where I can actually put down all of my spoilery thoughts. I know it's not always fun to have spoilers, but sometimes I want to discuss these things with people, and I don't know, I feel like this could be a good opportunity for you to see if other people has felt the same way about the books that you've read as well. So I hope it helps you. I hope you enjoy it, and I would love to discuss more about this in the comments. On that note, I'm gonna stop rambling because, yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you wish. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video, and I will see you soon in the next one.